Here we are in part 2 of this presentation. We've covered up to this point what it means to manage perceived value about your business, increase the value of that business, and get off that revenue roller coaster. Now we're focusing on the actual marketing piece. I'm putting on my marketing coach hat for you. And we got to talk about why marketing is a long-term approach. It has a long-term focus. These are some statistics from a gentleman named Chet Holmes who wrote the Ultimate Sales Machine book. And the way he describes anybody's target market typically is that only 3% of the people that you meet right now in your target market are going to be ready to buy right now. And so if you're always running around just trying to get 3%, you can see it's just a survival way of running a business. But if you're planning to how you're going to bring business in 6 months from now, and that's your continual focus, and you've always got this pipeline of work opportunities coming your way. So if you look at that purple area, that's really more like 30% of people who just aren't thinking about it. It's just not on their mind what it is that you have to offer. And of course, we can help change that. And then there's another 10% people that are open to it. They kind of heard about it, they're open to it, they just haven't acted on it. And there's like another 35% of people who they don't think that they're interested. Now that's a perception thing that we're continuing to work on, but we know that if they really truly understood that they would be someone valuable down the road as a client. And then of course there's people who just know they're not interested. They know what you do and they know they're not interested. And we're not going to even waste our effort on that. But what good marketing, especially inbound marketing, internet presence-based marketing, focuses on is long-term in that 70% of the pie, not just the 3%. So I've said inbound marketing, I've said outbound marketing. What's the difference between the two? This is an example of inbound marketing, but I'll explain to you very quickly outbound marketing, which is really just traditional marketing. What you're used to seeing with ads, print directories, billboards, radio, TV, anything that has to kind of do sort of in a broadcast method, just sort of putting it all out there for everyone to experience, and then you hope it kind of sticks, and then they just make a decision to give a call or do whatever it is. So that kind of marketing, and trade shows too are another example. They're all very expensive. For small businesses, they're very expensive. And inbound marketing is primarily internet based. It's not as expensive, and it's just as effective, if not more, because you're setting yourself up to be found by the people who are looking for you. Now, when I say they're looking for you, that doesn't mean they're typing in your business name. They're just looking for an answer, and you're positioning yourself as providing that. And there's ways that you can keyword your website. You see that word SEO up there, search engine optimization. That's a way to optimize your website in relationship to the internet to make it found by people who are looking for you when they type search terms into Google, let's say. But it also could be, well, just looking at this picture here, it's like a wheel, and the website's in the middle of the wheel. It's the hub, and you've got all these spokes going out to different outer edges of the hub. And this would probably be even a better example if each of these outer edges were connected too, because everything is interconnected. Everything is a system. Your social media both drives traffic to your website, and website traffic is driven to your social media, because there's two different purposes about what both of those do. Social media is a way to get more personable, but it's also a way to stay long-term connected. The website is more about describing your services, and also it's encouraging them to sign up to email and subscribe to your email list, which you can see right behind website. But what do you know? Social media could do the same thing, helping people subscribe to your email list. So it's not demonstrated here, but just talking through this. Publications, articles that you write in the newspaper or in magazines or in other newsletters, direct people to your social media or to your website. Events that you attend or host, they do the same thing. Networking is going out there, shaking hands, meeting people, collecting business cards, pulling those prospects as you qualify them in to your visiting your website, interacting on your social media, pulling people from the business directories online to visit your website, and then how do you continue to engage them in the other areas. And reviews just means like business reviews online. People visited your establishment and what they thought of the experience. So does your inbound marketing system have to incorporate all these elements? Is this everything? Well, no, not necessarily. This is a good representation. And then if you kind of figure out where you need to work and what you can add and what can be improved and what's optimal for your business. So it all does vary. But this is a great visual for you to understand everything being driven to your website and what makes that so critical. Now we're going to move along here to the 5 pillars of marketing. I break them down this way: branding, online presence, social networking, list building, and campaigns. I believe that for a small business, service-based, that is focusing on a niche or a particular type of niche, they need to really have these done well. Now, branding is going to be the most expensive, at least up front, because graphic design work, photography, things like that that help make the branding reality you have to pay someone to pull that together, but once it's done, you can use it for an extended period of time, so that's nice. Whereas online presence, you could pay someone to do a lot of that work, you can do a lot of it yourself, rates are getting much more reasonable around there. Social networking, that's really more of a decision on how you want to manage that, both online and memberships to networking groups can play a role there. List building is very simple. You just need to have a content management system, contact management system to do this with. And if you want to use Constant Contact, you can probably just manage with $20 a month, and then as your list builds, if you need to increase that subscription. Or MailChimp, that doesn't cost anything. Campaigns, well, that's all what you can only do that after everything else is done. A campaign is that decision to make a certain promotion or an offer for a limited amount of time. So we're going to go into all of these in more detail, but I just wanted to present to you, these are 5 critical pieces, each just as relevant as the other. And let's get into branding. So I've mentioned this beforehand when I was talking about differentiation. And differentiation is both in substance, of course, what your business is, but we also know that perception piece plays a huge role, because in professionally based services, when you are certified in something, well, people kind of tend to rope you into all the same as everybody else. You're just like any other, perhaps, architect or interior designer or CPA or attorney, if you know what I mean. Now, they know you kind of specialize in different areas, but you really, really got to make that clear. And the first thing that you brand is yourself, because you're providing the expertise. You're the thing people are buying. And to brand yourself means that you pay very close attention to your personal image, including how that's portrayed in video and in photographs. And it also has to do with your presence within the community. And it can also have to do with your presence on social media. Now, your personal presence, not your business presence. So you are the representation of your business or businesses. The identity does not come the other way. So it's important that you first brand yourself. Then we're going to be also looking at how to brand the business, which is very different. Now we're looking at things like your logo, the terminology and the words that you use in expressing the business and what it is on the website, a level of formality. There can be a lot of personality involved in that kind of text. And other things, certainly like images, are very huge on the internet to convey meaning. Example, it could be just even stock photos of people that look like your clients or represent that kind of setting. Colors play a huge role too, because of associating emotion with that. Everything that we're doing here is we're tying in emotions. We talked earlier about that ideal client, about your target market that you're focused on. What is their life experience? What brings them to that point of difficulty or challenge in their life where they need relief and they're willing to pay for it if someone could bring in that appropriate value? Okay, now we're going to be responding with a brand that conveys emotionally that solution that they want. So people look for respond emotionally first, and then they respond logically. So now that we've branded our business, when you run promotions, when you have also a core service, you have to package it in a certain way to have relevance to individuals. So, for example, an interior designer could help anybody with designing their house. And we talked about how you could certainly write quotes for that, but that if you have a very specific target market you're working with, you know exactly what packages would fit for them best. And there might be 2 or 3 variations depending on what you do and what makes sense for them. Well, you have to differentiate what those packages are. And you can tell I've offered a coaching package and a consulting package, 2 different things, 2 different names, 2 different outcomes, still the same concept, I'm just coming from different directions. So that's an example of branding packages. You're also looking at logos, the name of the package, not the descriptive name. So I called it consulting package. That's descriptive, but my individual or what do you call it? Say the name that I give it is Rocket Booster. Okay, I guess the formal name. Maybe that's a word we could use for it. Rocket Booster Consulting, and it conveys a meaning when I use the word rocket booster and the imagery that goes with that. And that terminology related to rocket and booster and, you know, going higher and up is consistent within the brand of my business. It's also consistent within the language that I use with everything. So that's a great example to follow there. It just is a little bit more about differentiating yourself, a little bit more about reaching out to the emotions of your targeted market. Okay, so that's the first pillar, branding, pulling in your image consultant, graphic designer, and photographer, working with your website designer to make this really look good. Then there is your online presence. First of all, starting with your website. The primary things you really want to focus on with your website, either making upgrades to your website or creating a new one, it has to be modern looking. That means created fresh and new within the last 2 to 3 years. Websites get outdated very quickly. It has to be mobile friendly because half of the searches on the internet are for local businesses are done on a mobile device. And you know that when it's not mobile friendly, your website, people have a hard time navigating it, and that might just be enough for them to decide to move on somewhere else. Or they may not even find your website if they do a mobile search. And that's a good thing to talk to your mobile experts about, mobile marketing experts. Search engine optimized just means that it is correctly optimized on page so that it will benefit from off-page optimization. On-page optimization has a lot of different criteria. It has to do with specific keywords that you want to have associated with your website. So when people use that in a search engine, they'll find you. And to organically rank in search engine results, if you want to organically rank very high, this has to be something that you make very intentional. But it can certainly bring you a lot of website traffic and certainly bring you a lot of leads calling you instead of you having to go out there and look for them. Your website really has to have fresh, regular, and relevant content. That's what Google wants to see. Static websites, brochure-like websites are a thing of the past. They don't mean anything to search engines anymore. They want to see interaction, new stuff being published all the time, and a blog is the best way to do that. Blogs, every time you blog, it adds another page to your website. And the more and more pages added to your website, the more Google likes that, the more they index, the more authority your website has in demonstrating relevant information to people who need to be visiting it. Obviously, easy navigation is critical. If people are not able to move around very quickly or find what they need, you're going to lose them. And calls to action are important to create the conversion that you need from people visiting the website to actually doing something that's going to bring them closer to your business. And calls to action is specifically words used, images used that encourage that action, which are things like subscribing to your email list, calling you, setting up a consultation. It could just be visiting another page of the website. It could be purchasing a product. But you have to spell it out these days. All of us today are inundated with things that we have to accomplish. Things are on our mind. When we look at something on the internet, we want to know within just a second or two where we need to go next and what's expected of us. And we get to choose that or not. But if it's not clear when I go on a home page of a website, what it is, if I like the website, what it is I'm supposed to do next, if I can kind of just go anywhere I want to without any clear instruction, then it's likely I won't end up doing anything that's a benefit for that business. Now, a good tip for you, place contact information and directions at the top of your homepage. Now, this is important for you if you have a storefront location or an office. That's just because people often visit the website to get that information, and if it's buried in a tab or buried somewhere else in the website that's hard to find, it's just frustrating. And so there you go. Quick, easy thing to solve right there. That right there could change your conversion rate on a website. Just moving your phone number to the top of the website and make it nice and big with a nice "please give me a call" request. Now, the second part of your online presence is in relationship to the business directories that are available. Many, many different types of directories. You could probably easily get listed here in the United States in 30 to 40 different types of business-based directories. And I kind of break them down in these 5 different categories. This is sort of my language. You might hear this elsewhere too, or slightly different, but it's important you just get the idea. So there's global types of directories, which means that these kind of go national, like Yellow Pages or whitepages.com. They just cover everything everywhere. Then you can look at local directories. There's Hampton Roads, findhamptonroads.com, which is directory specifically for businesses just here in the Hampton Roads area. Then there's also industry-specific directories, and that is looking at just businesses in certain industries. Like there's lawyers.com, it's just all attorneys there. There's holistic, I don't remember the name of the I don't remember the name of the directory, but all they do is they just list people in the holistic health industry. So chiropractors and acupuncturists and nutritionists and so forth. And then there's also very critically Google Maps and Google Places. Now, critically for those who have a storefront or an office location where clients come to visit you. It's really essential for search engine relevance, or with Google, I should say specifically. Pardon that, to get yourself designated as a Google place on Google Maps. And it's a little bit of work. You have to register officially with Google. You need to have a Google account. If you can associate this also with having a Google Plus social media profile, that even helps. Google's really trying to pump up all of these features of their business, of their search engine, functions. And the more you play to what Google has available in terms of their social media, their maps, and so forth, the more often they're going to be incorporating what you do in your internet presence and your website into search engine results. Now, let's just make it in a real simplistic statement there, but it's something you really have to investigate if not done so already. Then there is Yelp and Angie's List. Now, these aren't directories as much as they are business review. It could be referrals too. Well, it's not really referrals, but Angie's List probably is going to be the most important for most people in the service-based industry, where they need to be found in a place where they know reputable businesses are listed, and that good reviews can be written of you there and they can be read. So that is the other aspect of your online presence. Now, social networking. You've got to incorporate in your local social networking, which just means shaking hands with people, going to networking groups, getting cards, talking about your business, being intentional about being out in the community. What you're trying to do is, of course, find potential clients, but you're also looking for people that you can align your business with, strategic alliances, and then it's a great way to nurture current relationships if you join a networking group. So that potential client thing is a great idea, but just remember, we were only talking about 3% of people are ready to buy now. When you're part of local networking, You can know someone who doesn't need your services right now, but 6 months later, they're ready to join up with you because you're still part of that network with them. Of course, you can tie them into your social media networking. I like to do that. Whenever I meet anybody, I quickly add them to my LinkedIn profile because I really use LinkedIn as a way to stay connected. Now, that's because I do business to business. But if you're business to consumer, then maybe a better way for you to stay connected is in Facebook. Google, down here, if we're looking at the social media at the bottom, I just talked a little bit about why that's critical with just being relevant with the Google search engine. So having a Google Plus account and then creating a business page, that's really the ticket. Even if you're not able to activate a lot in that, it's going to increase the authority of your website just because Google likes to see that kind of stuff. Of course, Twitter is a great way to really spread the word about what's going on within your business and within your publications. Anything that you're publishing on your website, like your blog articles, really great exposure through Twitter. Twitter's an amazing concept. It can be used many different ways. You know, is it right for your business? It depends. Works really well for business to consumer though. So if you're working that direction, Twitter is not a bad idea. I know plenty of service-based businesses that use Twitter as a way to reach their clientele, and they do actually convert prospects from any of these social media. I also bring up YouTube, maybe not so much as in social media per se. It is a social media of sorts in terms of sharing and liking and stuff like that. But YouTube is our videos are just so huge on the internet, and YouTube is the biggest proponent of that. And of course, once again, they're connected with Google. Google owns YouTube. 80% of internet searches result in some sort of video viewing or search results. People want to sit back and watch things, just like what you're doing right now. So it's important to consider YouTube as a strategy in the marketing of your business. Now, maybe not your primary strategy, but it will be a huge tool in getting the word out about you and people learning about your business. So in the middle here, where we're talking about social media networking, just remember engagement is more important than numbers. Everybody wants to have tons of Facebook fans and over 500 connections on LinkedIn, but that doesn't matter if you're not engaging people in a beneficial way, and if you don't have a strategy for taking people from first connecting into a way that they're going to be involved more and more in your business to eventually do business with you. All right, so that is social media networking. Let's move along here to the next pillar. Building that contact list. I mentioned to you the importance of having a contact management system. You can't use Outlook. You do not want to be using Gmail or any other sort of online email system. It's perfectly fine for personal email, but when it comes to these emails where you're staying in touch with prospects and with clients, it needs to be much more professional and used through a system that promotes that or supports that. So something like Aweber, iContact, Constant Contact, MailChimp. What all of these systems allow you to do is create sign-up forms on the internet. It could be in your social media app, like an app on your Facebook page can be connected right to MailChimp for people to subscribe to your mail list and then receive emails from you that way. It could be on your website. It's exactly what I use for people who, oops, sorry about that, who want to receive my blog articles every week. So now I can send them blog articles, but I can also send them information about my business, other aspects of it that may be of interest to them. And it's a greater way for me to promote what I'm doing. I'm building a relationship with my list by providing useful information, but I'm also giving them opportunities to do business with me. So that's what it means. To get people to sign up, though, you have to provide an incentive. And offering something just like helpful information very often is all that you need to do, because it's not hard for you to put that together as long as you know who it's going to be helping. It's the people you want to have sign up, right? And then once you've designed it, put a few hours, maybe a couple of days, but of work and thought into it, you can use it then for a very long time, for the next year or two, as a way to attract people to subscribe. Because some people will subscribe to your website just in general. They just like what you do. But that extra incentive will increase the conversion rate. And it's a great tool, that informational product that you're giving them, and the ebook, the video. It's going to help educate them about your business and help qualify, make them a better prospect or even client eventually for you. Now, with the contact management system, you can also segment your lists. That means you can separate who is who, if they're current clients or if they're prospects, so you can send them information that's appropriate and meaningful to them instead of everybody getting the same thing. Of course, the nice thing about these lists always means that you have to get their permission to be on it. So that means those people that are on it, it's going to be more meaningful to them than what you send them. And there's an opt-out that they can click on if they ever decide, well, this doesn't mean so much to me anymore. They can unsubscribe. And then it's not like they have to personally email you and say, you know what, stop emailing me. I'm not interested in you anymore. And people who opt out aren't necessarily not interested in you as a person or a business anymore. They're just not finding the information relevant to them at that time. Now, the other thing you can do with building your contact list is certainly collect information from visitors in your place of operation and from networking. You need to clarify, though, if you're going to add them to this email list, that you're getting their permission and what they can expect. And that way you don't have as many people opting out. So that is the basics about the importance of building a contact list, which ties into the next concept, which is running campaigns. This is our fifth and last pillar of an inbound marketing system. So with your list, that's going to be the biggest area where you're going to find most success for your campaigns. And you're probably wondering, well, what is a campaign exactly? A campaign is deciding to promote your services a particular way, often with a particular type of package, and it's something fresh and new, and it's for a certain need for a limited time. So what that could be for your business can vary in many different ways. If I was a CPA, I would be running campaigns at a very unique time of the year to be getting as many clients as needed for the upcoming tax season. Now, most people aren't thinking about taxes until about the beginning of January, so that's when I would be running my campaign. But then what you're doing at that point is you're creating a buzz about your business. That's the most important thing. Just existing as a business and trying to shake hands and get leads and do what you do is great, but over time it's, well, what's so special about what's going on here? It seems like the business, it's hard to tell if the business is really staying up to date or relevant in the community or not. But when you're running good campaigns, it says, hey, I've got something new here. Maybe you haven't thought about us before. Now here's something that might be worthwhile to you. And just creating a buzz just reminds people you exist. Campaigns, even with not as high as an success rate as other campaigns, still have an overall advantage about elevating the awareness of the business to everyone. But you can only conduct campaigns successfully when you've got all these other strategies in place, when you've got a website, when you've got a social media presence, if you've got strong branding. These are all platforms, or the substructure, you could say, to the campaign itself, which is then very tactical. It's sort of reactionary. You still have to plan your campaigns out, but my Game Changer campaign, is a great example. I have a definitive length, what I'm offering as services within the campaign, how I'm getting the word out, which is primarily through my presentations that I offer every month. So that's a great example of a campaign. And the next 6 months after this one's over, I've got something else planned. So everything stays fresh, and I'm really continuing to focus on who it is that I want to service best. Well, that wraps it up here for this presentation. Just remember, for putting my marketing coaching hat on here for you, Focus on long-term results. Don't try to get business now. You do need to be working on getting business now, but don't forget, you need to be working on getting business 6 months from now. And set yourself up in a way that will let people find you, especially on the internet, when it comes to your business directories, when it comes to keywording your website, when it comes to your social media presence. And be social. Build your personal brand by getting out there in the community. Manage a good contact list. You have to stay organized with that. Use a contact management system, and then once you've got all this stuff with some traction, you can start conducting campaigns, and you will find that they bring you results. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the second half of this presentation, and I hope to be talking to you soon. Have a